Now, when you put things into context, you're usually
Okay.
dealing with history.
Sure.
Okay? Now, this is not the usual history.
Sure.
This is ancient history, and I do mean ancient.
Right.
Because what are humans? Humans are spirits
Right.
in inhabiting bodies.
Yes.
Now, would any religion argue with that? No. Any religion, whether it is from the jungles of Stone
Right.
Age peoples
Right.
or the most sophisticated intellectual, Catholicism,
Mhm.
would agree that humans are souls or spirits inhabiting physical bodies.
Right.
So instead of getting into a lot of conflict here, let's just stick with what we can all agree on.
Sure.
you know, Instead of fighting, having wars, and causing crusades. Does that sound reasonable? Yes, it does.
Yep.
So if we take that into account, I think it would be reasonable to say
Mhm.
that spirits are, not worrying about life or death because they're
Sure.
eternal. And physical bodies definitely have limitations, and because they live and die.
Mhm.
Is that another concept that we can all agree on? I think it is. Okay. The
Mhm.
question number three, or even question number one,
Right.
why? Why would a immortal spirit
Mhm.
inhabit an immortal body? For fun? By accident? Forced?
It's intentional. It's part
Forced
of the
to?
program.
Forced to by some kind of, ruler, making you do it, like getting into a prison? Or was it voluntary?
Uh,
Did we
it,
agree to inhabit
there
physical
has
bodies?
been some agreements, some prior agreements to it, I think.
No, I'm not answering that question.
Okay.
I'm not answering that question because I don't have any evidence for that. But I'm going to tell you what I personally believe. I personally believe that it was done by agreement.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because the other possibilities are that it was just an accident, like you stepped in shit one day, or that it was done under coercion. In other words, somebody put a gun to your head and said, "You're now going to get into this physical body and be born as a baby with no memory and
Right.
no concept of what you were in the past, and you're just going to
Mm.
have to learn in a process of what we call life."
Right.
Well, let's I'm totally open to other people who have other views on this subject, but I'm just going to go with the voluntary path
Mm.
we chose. We chose
Right.
to become encapsulated and
Sure.
limited. The concept here is limited because
Mhm.
according to the laws of physics, if you are energy, you are not controlled by time or space. Now that's just a physical fact. If you are
Sure.
energy, you're not material. In other words,
That's right.
you're not made out of atoms. Therefore, there's no such thing as movement for you, because only physical things can move, right?
Correct.
At a certain
You're not
speed.
bounded by space and time, in my
Exactly. You
opinion.
got it. You're not bounded by space and time, and that's not an opinion. That's just a scientific fact. Even us lowly humans know and can prove. Okay? So the point is here, why would you enter into a world that's bounded by space and time when you were not in that previously? When you were in a situation where you could, at the blink of a thought, be anywhere at any point and at any realization I'm talking about things that are beyond where I am right now, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Sure.
Some people call it heaven. Some people call it enlightenment. Whatever, But let's get back to us in a body. Now, us in a body, obviously, we have limitations, or at least we think we have limitations, because we can't remember any other form of existence.
Sure.
Now, I've heard rumors that there are certain people who, when they're born, remember their past lives, or remember that they are an immortal soul or an immortal spirit, and therefore can deal very objectively with their limitations in the physical body. But I personally am not one of those. I can't remember shit before I was born. Except on special occasions, which we'll get into later. But the point is that I believe that it's going to be a difficult situation for me to die, and I don't want to do it, especially not prematurely. There might be a point in my ancient life when I might look on death as a preference. If my body is so old and decrepit that it doesn't move and I can't eat and my eyesight's failing, etc., or my mental capacities are gone. But other than that, I'm living here in this life, and why? What's the purpose? Now, most people, especially Socrates, said that an unexamined life is not worth living.
Right.
So how come so many people are running around not examining their lives? Can you explain that?
No, I cannot.
Well, I can. And the
Okay.
reason is because they don't know that they are immortal spirits inhabiting a mortal body.
Right.
They don't know that part.
Mhm.
They think this is the only life they've ever had. This is the only life
Right.
they ever will have. And that
Sure.
when they were babies up until now, that this is it and this is all there will be. And therefore, they're just going with the pleasure principle.
Sure.
Have as much fun, have as much enjoyment, have as much security, have as much food, have as much satisfaction, have as much psychological pride in your accomplishments, in your works of art, in your bank accounts, in your works, as they say, your whatever you've done in this life, and that's it.
Mhm.
Well, but all those things are gone when you're dead, aren't they? From your point of view. So why do all those things? That's not rational. That's not logical. It doesn't make any sense. Why should you do a goddamn thing if when you die there's nothing after that?
Well, my personal
Mm-hmm.
thinking and beliefs
Mhm.
lead me to the understanding that
Mm-hmm.
our soul, the very existence, our soul coming to this flesh and blood body
Incarnate.
from the reincarnations and such, part of the agreement is that we are supposed to lead a living
Mm-hmm.
on this rotting flesh and blood.
Mhm.
There used to be a wise man who told me something.
Mm-hmm.
He says, the moment you're born
Mm-hmm.
as a child, coming out of your mother's womb, is the time that you are dying. In this flesh and
Technically,
blood.
that's correct. Yes.
Technically, that's correct. Okay.
Counting down.
But along the lines, we grow, we
Mhm.
thrive. Okay, as we get older,
Mm-hmm.
our body starts to get old age, and eventually it'll wither, and we'll just kick the bucket and die. But
Yeah.
along the lines, the soul, our soul,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps because of the way we have came to some form of agreement prior before we reincarnate. Part of the deal is that every time when we come back
Mm-hmm.
in some form of fashion into a flesh and blood body,
Right.
we are first and foremost we are bounded by space and time on
okay.
on this surface called planet Earth.
I
that we
agree.
live on. And secondly, throughout this space and time, it is, in my opinion, to learn to grow and thrive on a spiritual level.
In other words,
Okay.
we're here to get experiences for later. So
Exactly.
everything we're doing here is just like building up some kind of experiences to benefit us when we're back in our real life,
Yes,
which is
right.
the life that's not bounded by a physical body?
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Agree. Agree.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, of course, along the lines, while living within this flesh and blood, where we call body,
Right.
a human body,
Mm-hmm.
we are constantly being
Mm-hmm.
challenged by something called choice
Right.
or decisions, okay?
Yes.
If you make, and that's how we learn. If you make good choice, okay, the
Mm-hmm.
outcome will be within or even beyond your expectations in a positive
Okay.
way. And
Now,
you gain
yeah.
what we call positive energy points.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've also heard that we have free will.
Correct.
Now, some people might disagree with that point. And remember, I'm not here to say that other views are wrong. I'm just going to
Right.
go with my particular view and carry that along to its logical conclusion.
Sure.
So let's say that we agree, or at least you agree with me, that we have free will.
I agree.
Now, if that's true, then do I have to accept the concept of dying? Do I have to accept the concept that I'm here for a limited time in a physical life? Do I have to accept that having the sensations of a physical body, which I might find pleasurable,
Right.
should have to be given up at a certain point? Well, maybe I'm going to rebel against that.
Right.
Maybe I'm going to say, hell no. I'm going to find a hack. I'm going to find a way to get around the algorithm of life itself.
Sure.
And I'm going to maybe feed off the energy of other life forms in order to sustain myself indefinitely. Now, we've heard legends of things like vampires. We've heard legends of things like clones. And the concept that some soul might wear out one body and then just use another one in order to sustain its existence in this, what we call the material world. Now, does that sound possible? Well, I'm not here to answer yes or no. I'm just saying that could be, that based on our legends and based on our history, that then there might be a possibility for that, and that some people might choose to do it.
Certainly.
But there would be a problem there because it would involve utilizing a cheat, and that cheat would require sucking the energy or the blood of others, because you've only got so much for yourself, right?
That's right.
And to go beyond that would be, well, a hack. Okay, so that's one thing I'd like to keep in mind in this conversation. And the other thing is that if we, as you said, if we come down here to this world of limitation and in a physical body, there's certain conditions that exist here that do not exist if you're just pure energy.
Correct.
In other words, beyond the realm of time and space. But if you're in the realm of time and space, or what we call Newtonian physics, then all kinds of things become new. You're able to feel, you're able to touch, you're able to sense, and it's not just mind anymore, because as you know, mind is pure energy, but the body and all its senses and sensations are not.
That's right.
And this gives the possibility for both comfort and discomfort.
Right.
Now, what do we got there? We've got something called Pavlov's dog. Now, Pavlov was a brilliant Russian psychologist who came up with the concept of using positive and negative stimulus to create behavioral patterns.
Sure.
Okay, so in a very simple sense, his experiments are quite sophisticated. But just to get into the simple part, he would give rewards for certain behavior, and he would give punishments for a certain behavior that he did not want the dog to express. Now, doesn't that sound like physical reality? In other words, we do something that's good for us, and we get pleasure, and we do something that's bad for us, and we get pain.
Correct.
Now, could it be, and I'm just speculating here, that we have volunteered to enter into this world of pleasure and pain because then it will modify our thoughts and our behaviors and our characters and our minds and our morals and our ethics.
Mm.
Is that a possibility?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
And if that is a possibility, then who is it and how is it that we would suffer any pain or pleasure? And is there a counterforce? As we know, the universe is negative and positive. Is there a counterforce of minds or beings that are trying to create that reality for us? Could it be?
That is possible.
Could it be that the dark are our schoolmasters? Could it be that wars, pestilences, crimes, punishments are our teachers? Could it be that we live in a world of dichotomy to such an extent that what we view as evil is actually just part of the curriculum? Your thoughts?